We're back now at 7:30 on a Tuesday morning. It's the 5th day of November 2013. Incredible images. This is the view of that mid-air collision of two skydiving planes captured by the divers themselves. These cameras that so many people use these days when they're skiing and surfing. And yes, skydiving. These images tell a remarkable and frightening story. We're going to talk to the skydivers involved in just a moment. I'm Matt Lauer, along with Savannah Guthrie, Al Roker, and Natalie Morales.
Hey.
All right, let's begin this half hour with that incredible story of survival we've been following after two planes collided midair. The skydivers are with us live, but first, the chilling video of the crash, licensed exclusively by NBC News. Some of the skydivers take their positions outside the trailing plane for their final jump of the day when disaster strikes. The two Cessnas collide in midair. Some of the jumpers literally slammed between the two planes. The wing of the lead plane bends around one of the jumpers and then breaks off. From a different camera, you can see other jumpers getting sucked out into a free fall. At 120 miles per hour, 12,000 feet in the air. One jumper literally turning his head to see a massive fireball engulf one of the planes, flaming debris flying through the air around them. Another parachutist watches as the remaining piece of the plane breaks up. Somehow, the pilot of that plane manages to escape and jump out. In these videos, licensed by NBC News, the divers race to deploy their chutes, not knowing if their friends have survived. The first jumper to land starts counting the number of parachutes he can see to count the crash's survivors.
How many parachutes do you have?
1, 2, we're good. We got everybody.
Then they reunite on the ground.
Hey, tell them to wait for me. Hey, 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 hey!
Racing to find the others.
Come on, Blake, you got it.
And cheering as the second plane lands safely.
Oh, my God.
All 9 jumpers and 2 pilots safe on the ground. An ending that just moments before seemed totally impossible. Every one of the 9 skydivers managed to walk away alive. They are with us now from one plane: Patricia Roy, Daniel Chandler, Sarah Perrine, Amy Olsen, and Chad Ebling. From the other plane, John Rodrigo, Mike Robinson, Barry Sinix, and Lanaya Bonagovsky. Nice to have you guys here. Good morning. Raise your hand if you're happy to be alive this morning. I mean, it's incredible. Let me start with you, Patricia. You were about to get out of the following plane, the one that's above and slightly to the left. You were about to get out where 2 of the other skydivers are already perched on that little platform, and you're rolling with your helmet cam. What was it like? What did you think when you saw this plane getting close to you?
I think it was so slow at the time. It seemed like it's getting closer, 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 and then all of a sudden it clicked like, this is too close.
And the impact?
And then it was, yep. The impact, I think, just threw me back.
Dan, you're on the perch. You had already gotten out of the plane, and what you said to me yesterday, you know what happened to me? I got hit by a moving plane. You actually got wedged between these 2 planes.
Yeah, it was unpleasant.
What did it feel like, and how much time did you have to react?
I had no time to react. All I heard was Trish scream horrifically, and I just had enough time to look over my shoulder and see white, which wasn't right, and then get pinned.
Let's not forget there's spinning propellers here, and you heard those propellers close to you.
The sound behind me, I'll never forget, and that's all I could do is try and stay forward and try not to move, because I know I was going to live where I was or thought I could.
That is you right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is you getting knocked off the plane, trying to hang on, thinking you might get cut in half by one of those propellers. Sarah, you were out on that perch as well.
I was.
From your vantage point, what did you see?
I thought it was a joke, and not a funny one, and not at all appropriate, but it was surreal. There was no thought process that was going through my head other than, oh my God, we're actually getting close, and I thought they were going to peel away.
Amy and Chad, you get knocked by the impact into the plane further, okay? So you're on that plane. Did you see the fireball?
Yeah, and felt it.
Yeah? And you could hear the screaming of your fellow skydivers?
And the pilot.
How did you, and what did the pilot say?
He just told us to go.
Get out.
Just go.
Yeah, he screamed go. Really loud.
You could see what was happening to the other plane? You saw the wings come off the other plane?
Yeah.
Let's move to the people who were now in that other plane. You couldn't see as much because you were down below. You couldn't see the two planes getting close together. What did you hear?
A loud bang.
Yeah.
And knocked off.
Who got knocked off the platform?
All of us.
All of them. You were already outside the plane, so all four of you were ready to jump. Here comes the impact. You go flying.
Yeah, we didn't even wait for the count. We just went.
Did you see the wings come off your plane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I got knocked off, I was back to Earth, and I just saw the big burst of flames and the wing go.
Now, you've got a pilot on your plane. The wings have come off. There's a fireball because of the gasoline in the wing tank. You had to be incredibly concerned for his safety. He's not with us, by the way. You had to be incredibly concerned for his safety. Barry, did you try to actually chase that plane?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I watched the plane blow up in flames, and I knew the pilot was still in there. Everybody else had parachutes on, so they were kind of on their own. So I chased the plane. I think Dan did, too. You came down with me. We chased the airplane to see if the pilot got out.
In a free fall or
Well, yeah.
under canopy?
Oh, free fall. I
So
mean,
you're free falling, trying to stay up with that plane?
yeah, well, Dan just said he got up to 210 miles an hour. Yeah, so once I saw the pilot bail out, I chased him to make sure that he was going to open his parachute because he was a student. Actually, we actually did end up passing him on his, where he's now self-supervised, so he can jump himself.
When you look at these video, guys, all of you, do you see things that you simply don't remember from the actual event?
Yeah, I remember seeing Sarah get hit. I don't remember seeing Dan flailing around on the strut of the plane. And it's ironic because that's the bulk of the footage that is from my camera.
And in my mind, I see my hand get stuck, but I don't see, you know...
Hand stuck between two planes.
Yeah, but I don't see, I mean, my shoulder hurts, but I don't see, you know, I should have a broken pelvis watching that.
We should have broken everything.
Yeah, I mean, but...
We started this segment by asking for you to raise your hands if you're lucky to be alive or happy to be alive. Raise your hands now if you'll get back in a plane and skydive again. Really?
Not as soon as everybody else, but yes.
Really?
Yes.
No hesitation about that?
This is just part of who we are.
I'm more terrified of spiders than...
Yeah. It's true.
We don't have that quite that alarming video of spiders that we do with this. Guys, thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm happy you're all okay. And coming up, our next half hour, the pilot who was able to land his damaged plane safely will join us. He's in the green room right now. He'll share that part of the story for the first time. But first, let's get a check of the weather from Al. We want to make a switch here now, and Ty, we have more on that harrowing midair collision in Wisconsin. In a moment, one of the pilots speaks out for the first time, but first, more of that dramatic video licensed exclusively by NBC News. The helmet cam footage from a group of skydivers shows the terrifying moment when two aircraft collide above Wisconsin, flinging parachuters into the air like plastic action figures. One of the planes plummeted to the ground after losing both of its wings, but the pilot was able to escape safely and deploy a parachute. The other plane was damaged, but amazingly still able to fly. The pilot of that plane maintained his calm.
Come on, Blake, you got it. Come on.
And landed the aircraft. Now, that pilot's name is Blake Weedan. He's with us now, along with three of his passengers, Amy Olson, Patricia Roy, and Dan Chandler. Guys, good morning to you. How are you doing?
Well, all things considered.
Yeah, a little shaken up?
Calm now.
Yeah, calm now. You had a very quick choice to make, Blake. I mean, the impact occurs, and you've got to decide whether that plane is flyable, and landable. What did you go through in the air to try to make that determination?
I had to look at all my control surfaces, make sure they're all there. Turn left, turn right, make sure they all work. And they were there, so I knew I could fly it.
Did you have any reason to believe something was wrong prior to the impact? Was there anything strange about the flight? Was there anything strange about the plane?
No. No, everything was exactly as it should have been.
And as you are checking your control surfaces, as you just said, trying to figure out whether you could land that aircraft, you're also in the process of trying to count parachutes.
Yes.
Looking at the horizon, looking around you. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, for the first I guess roughly 45 to 50 seconds, or however long they were in free fall. I couldn't find anybody because you can't find people in free fall. So once the parachute started opening up, then that's when I could finally try and pick people out.
And you're counting. You're trying to see, you need 9 skydivers, and you're also looking for the chute of the other pilot.
Right.
Did you see him come out of the plane?
No.
Never did. You saw the chute finally?
Yes.
You're a pilot as well, aren't you? What do you think he might have been going through? He might be too modest to talk about what it took to maintain calm and maintain control of that airplane. What did you see?
We think about this all the time, and that's part of our initial flight training, but for all of my pilots at Skydive Superior is a reason we do the training we do. I talk to them about the possibilities of these things happening, and I go through these procedures. It's the first time we've ever had to even consider using these, and thank God for pilot chutes.
And by the way, you say thank God for pilot chutes. I did not know that the pilots are required to wear a parachute in a situation like this. That obviously saved the other pilot's life.
Yeah, and he did a fantastic job.
You talk about hearing Blake screaming, "Get out, get out," and it's still emotional for you.
That's probably the worst. Just hearing him scream. It's pretty raw.
Talk about the landing, all right? You're in this plane. It's damaged. Talk to me about the damage on the plane.
As far as I could see there, my propeller was bent. But looking at it now afterwards, there's a lot more damage than I thought.
So the propeller's bent. You don't have thrust then, really? You can't throttle up.
No, it was an idle all the way down. At least I had that, though. That creates a little bit of thrust.
And Patricia, I know you were one of the people there watching the landing,
Yep.
hoping that that plane was able to be landed.
Right.
And what were your thoughts as you watched Blake coming in?
Well, originally I assumed Blake was dead because we didn't hear the plane flying. Normally it's pretty loud, and I didn't hear the plane flying
Because
at
it's
all.
an idle? Why would that have
Or
been?
maybe just because I,
Right. You saw him coming in toward the runway? You'd already gathered at the runway?
Right. It's like, oh my God, he's alive. This is awesome. It's like, don't screw this up now, buddy.
Yeah, you can actually hear someone saying, "Come on, Blake, come on, Blake, come on, Blake."
That's me.
And when the wheels touch down, first of all, can I tell you, that was a pretty good landing for somebody in a really fully operational plane. And considering that plane was banged up, how'd you feel about it?
It's kind of a joke now, but it was actually one of my better landings.
Given the circumstances. I asked all these people whether they had any desire to go up and do that again. I mean, will you get back in a plane? Is it that easy?
I will, yeah. Absolutely.
What do you want people to take away from this, Dan? I mean, people watching this, first of all, may not understand what you guys do for fun anyway. But then what do you want them to take away from what they see here and what the outcome was?
Don't be afraid to do this. The statistic Barry that was on here previously likes to throw out there. It's 10 times more dangerous to ride your motorcycle or 3 times more dangerous to drive a car. It's 1/100% of skydivers are injured or killed in a year. What we do is safe, and we train for this, and nobody should be afraid to get up there and do this. We're wearing a parachute, we're in a plane, we're prepared to get out. The pilots have parachutes. It happened.
The only difference is if you're in a car, you can have what would be a fender bender. Fender benders in moving aircraft take on a whole different importance.
And it's important to remember that there are incidents that have happened very recently where the jumpers weren't lucky enough to walk away, and we are superbly thankful that we did survive, and we wish our skydiving community all the safety that we had, all the luck we had.
You've got quite a story to tell, guys. Thank you very much. Good to have you back on solid ground, Blake. Thanks. It's a pleasure talking to you. And you can see more of the dramatic video on our website, today.com, and we'll speak to the other pilot who was involved as part of an upcoming Dateline special. Let's go over to Savannah.